Welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is going to be our recap for Double Agents, Episode 9. If you heard the intro music, it's obviously a little different. If you haven't been around, I believe this is our first BOYZ NITE of the season.
Of the year, also.
Of the year, also, as well. Yeah, so my name is...
It's a double whammy. I haven't used double whammy in a while, right?
Well, you used it in person, I believe.
Last night?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Whenever it was. But yeah, my name is Zach. I'm joined by just Jake this time.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, it's actually the middle of the day. We're recording Thursday. We had a weird ice storm here. It kind of shut things down. And actually, Hannah was supposed to be here, and then she woke up this morning with a migraine, and so she had to take her migraine meds and all that. So she's not recording with us, which is why it's a BOYZ NITE, which is why the music is different, and which is why I will read all of her notes at the end of the episode.
Well, listen, here's the deal. You can't replace a Hannah, right?
Right.
You just can't. And so we wish her well. We hope for a speedy recovery. I actually am pushing through a headache myself. Not a migraine, but a headache nonetheless. So I popped some Tylenol right before we started. I'm ready to roll, and we're going to try to keep hope alive by remembering Han throughout this podcast.
Yeah, she's not dead. She's just in the other room.
Well, and she's not dying either.
No, well, we are dying, like in a grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
We're not getting younger.
Do you believe she'll pull through by the end of the night?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think she'll be fine. It's currently 1:30 in the afternoon. So before we get into the recap for Double Agents, I do want to say we've dropped a new Patreon exclusive podcast Tuesday night, and I just actually posted about that on Twitter and Instagram. And so if you are a patron, check that out if you haven't already. And if you're not a patron, patreon.com/smashingheadspodcast. That's, again, where we do all of our exclusive things. They get all these episodes of the recaps early and ad-free, and our interviews early and all that, which, by the way, we are still working on an interview. I have been in contact with one of these people since December. Mm-hmm. Multiple emails back and going out to do this, talked with the person, trying to work things out with a publicist. It's been not ideal, but hopefully we'll be able to make it happen soon because the person we want to interview is fully on board with it.
Yeah.
It's just
we've heard from them directly that they're on
many
board
times.
with it. Yeah,
many times, and they said they would do whatever, but for some reason, dealing with publicists and stuff is not the most enjoyable, just because you're having to do a go-between. But hopefully we will have an announcement soon on who the next person is, because it's literally been months in the making at this point.
Yeah, you're having to do a go-between while they're giving you the runaround.
Well,
right.
the person isn't. Like,
right.
the person on the interview is not giving me the runaround. They're just like, I don't know. Email this person and then we'll set it up. And they're like, I'll do whatever I can to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We're still waiting on that. Hopefully it happens soon. But other than that, again, patreon.com, it just directly supports the show. And, we have a deep relationship with our patrons in a way that is kind of unexplainable. And actually, we're bringing back an old show, hopefully very soon, where we do Patreon hangouts with some of our patrons and kind of interview them about the challenge and how they got into it and all that type of stuff. It usually devolves into just talking about whatever, not necessarily challenge related, but we do get their take on favorites, cast members they don't like, seasons they like, that type of stuff. So we're excited to bring that back now that everyone uses Zoom all the time and knows how to do it.
Yeah. So we love hanging out with our patrons. We love having a good time. There's no time like a good time. And you can't get more of a good time than here with us at the Smashing Heads headquarters.
I thought you were just going to list all the things that we like. We like having a good time.
Well, you and I like peanut butter.
I love peanut butter.
Which you're in a bad spot. Actually,
we're both in a bad spot.
We're both in a bad spot. You're happily married, have been for a while, and your wife is Han, one,
yeah,
but two is deathly allergic to peanuts.
all peanuts and tree nuts, like everything.
Yeah.
So I've had to basically cut that out of my life.
I just started seeing someone a few weeks ago who is one of the most top-notch individuals I've ever met in my life, and she is, in fact, allergic to peanuts.
Yeah.
So we went out last weekend, and I got some ice cream, right? We went to an ice cream spot, and I got Reese's Peanut Butter Cups mixed in there. And I didn't even think. Like, I didn't even realize.
You're going to have to start thinking about it.
And so, I feel your pain now.
Yeah, we've been on flights and stuff, and, like, they have to a lot of times announce because you're in this, like, secluded area. Like, hey, we have people on board with severe peanut and tree nut allergies. So they're like, hey, if you have any of that with you, like, at your seat, because you can buy it at the stores, before you go, they're like, just please keep that in like your bags or whatever, because it is like an airborne allergy. And Hannah and I were sitting one time, and there was a guy beside me, because I always sit kind of between just as a buffer, and this guy like looked at me and he was like, wow, he's like, I'm glad I brought this instead of, I almost bought a bag of cashews. And then he pulls out like a huge thing of like Reese's and stuff, and I was like, yeah, man, I was like, that's the same. I was like, it's not any better. And he's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So you'll get used to it. You kind of learn basically everywhere you go. In fact, a lot of times when we're out at restaurants, I have to bring it up because she'll just forget to ask sometimes. Like, hey, can you just make sure no cross-contamination, that type of stuff.
Right.
You never know, man. So, let's get into Double Agents Episode 9.
In the spirit of Han, I'm cutting you off.
Go for it.
Right here. Listen, I think it's the goofiest thing on the planet. I don't know if this was your first note, that Josh is so just like...
I didn't even write it down.
In his feels about this win. Then I'm perfectly in Hannah's lane right now.
Yeah.
So, he's carrying on as if like this is just like this moment to remember, and I actually think it's a moment to forget.
Oh, we'll remember it.
We'll remember it, but I think he should
not for
forget
the reasons.
It.
Yeah, not for the reasons he's wanting. It's again, we talked about it in depth last week for a long time. One of the worst elimination wins you could probably ever have. Just pathetic from both sides. And like you saw the people like Darrell and CT and those watching that like couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, it's funny because he walks back in the house and he's like, we're back, baby. And it's like, man, you should be apologizing to everyone that they had to sit through that.
Yeah, that's called unawareness, not reading the room, because nobody's impressed.
No. In fact, everyone that doesn't have a skull is like, yeah, I definitely want to go against Josh to get my skull.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my first note, because I was like, I don't even want to acknowledge how worked up he is about it, was just that Corey wants a skull, which everyone in the house should want a skull. Like, there's, and we see Darrell get into it later with Amber. He's like, what are you guys doing? And Leroy, I think, even at the deliberation, is like, if you're not trying to get a skull, like, why are you here? Yeah. Like, you can't go into the final until that. So Corey wants a skull, obviously. The next note I had was I did think that Cam had a good point that she's like, well, the alliances now are going to kind of start shifting because, you know, there's a very solidified group of these people have skulls, and then you have everyone else. And so, again, you know, I don't care how close you are with, you know, other people in the house. If you don't have a skull, like, you got to do whatever you can to get in there, because then you don't even have a shot at $1 million.
Yeah.
And so I do think things are going to start shifting alliance-wise.
Well, and it's like, so Amber B was a big focal point this episode, right? And I think, you know, she further cemented, you know, our take as being a good one in that she was just, like, overly hyped. Not to jump ahead. I mean, I'm jumping all the way ahead, but we're not going to stay there. And just the fact that Teresa went home and thought that it was this great accomplishment. And I just sat back and I was like, why?
Yeah.
You still, I mean, you still have to go get your skull.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a lot to talk about Amber B.
I'm not a fan. I'm going to be honest. I don't like her.
I don't mind her.
I don't like her.
I think she's really pretty. But like I don't mind her, but we'll get to some of that in a minute. Amber M is a rogue agent, so she can't go into the next thing. And so then Nany is talking to, I don't even remember who she's talking to, but she basically said that I don't want to go against, quote, someone who has already beat me, which is Teresa. And at that point, I was like, well, okay, well, they're setting this up where they're going to go after Teresa in this episode. And what was it? Was it X's 2 that she, like, Nany and Bananas came back after getting beat by Leroy in that log thing, Leroy and Naya.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Wes's partner. Somebody went home, and then Teresa just happened to, like, show up, and then she manhandled Nany, like, right before the final.
Oh, that was Naya. Naya went home because of the whole deal with Jordyn, right?
Was that what it was?
That's what it was, yeah.
Okay. Maybe that is what it was.
Because that was Leroy's partner, and then Teresa...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, yeah, she took Nany out. And, like, Teresa... Here's the thing. Teresa is, like... When we get to the elimination, like, her and Casey are very similarly built. Both about the same height, same... Probably Teresa maybe has got a little bit more weight to her. But the big difference is, for the last, like, 5 years, Teresa's been, like, a mom. Like, she has 2 kids. Her husband is a professional athlete. So they're traveling all around. Like, Casey's been training for these type of shows for, like, the last 3+ years.
Right.
So even though they're, like, physically built similar... Like, it's not the same. Like, training for this type of thing puts you at an advantage of someone who's just been home for a while. But anyway, I think Cam made a point right after this that she is like, oh, Amber B is shady because she's cool with all the rookies and then with all the Big Brother people. And I was just like, well, it's like, yeah, because she's a rookie and she's from Big Brother. I was like, I don't get why you're upset about that.
Yeah.
Like, that lines up perfect. Like, I get that some people don't like how she's done things, but I also think that people are blowing certain things with her, like, way out of proportion. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me why you'd be upset about her being with that, because clearly she's from both of those groups. So, after that, Corey and Teresa bond over having children, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we find out that Teresa has, to some degree, postpartum depression. And I don't know if Corey, I don't know if his fiance or wife or whatever, I don't know what she is, Taylor, I don't know if she had that, but he seemed to sympathize with it. But I had forgotten that when Ryder was born, they didn't know Corey was the dad when she was a baby. That didn't come out until later. And so...
I had no idea. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that was a whole nother thing. He just like, oh, I just have a kid all of a sudden. And so they do that. And then, like, man, it's just... After that, it's just like Gabby and Amber M are just being so dramatic about every little thing. Like, especially with Amber B, they're like... oh, she's plotting this huge thing. And to me, I don't think Amber B's plotting anything. I think she's just, like, friends with Big Brother and with Darrell and whatever, so she's caught in this in-between thing. I don't think she has, like, this master plan to, like, go after her friends. I think she's just kind of, like, going with the flow. And it just seems like everyone's just making huge deals out of everything.
See, I think actually Amber B is the one that's making weird deals out of everything.
Okay.
She at one point called out like 3 different people and I quote like saying like she was getting weird vibes from them, and I'm like, why?
I don't know. We didn't watch her Big Brother season. We haven't watched any Big Brother season. We haven't watched Love Island with Gabby or Are You the One with Amber M. We're never gonna probably go back and watch any of those. I did find out from one of our listeners, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but someone on Twitter last week sent us that the Are You the One Second Chances, the show Devin was on, is actually on MTV's website.
Okay.
And he didn't even know it was streaming anywhere. So I may try to go back and watch that at some point, because that actually does seem like something I would want to watch, because Are You the One as a normal show just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
So we get out of all this like pre-drama stuff. Basically, it's just kind of setting up the story arc for the rest of the episode, and we get to the daily, and we knew it was trivia already because they had teased that last week. I knew Hannah had forgotten that it was going to be trivia, but it starts out with TJ talking, and then he starts to plug in this like Burger King thing.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, Burger King, they seem to sponsor every so often. Like
I was going to say,
it
feels like it's been pretty consistent with Burger King.
I remember it all the way back to Invasion of the Champions.
Yep.
Because they were stuck in that like shack thing, and they're like, "Oh, we got Burger King!" All of a sudden, it may have been even.
But again,
before that.
I'm not a real fan of Burger King.
I like Burger King.
I'm not a fan.
I would much rather have Burger King than McDonald's.
See, I'm the other way. I would go McDonald's over Burger King.
Even their burgers?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So it's trivia, but also called Mission Interrogation. And also, the winners of each round get $5,000 each. Or was it the winners of each round, or was it the winning team?
The winning team.
Okay, so Nam did not win $5,000. That sucks for him. So they basically, we've seen iterations of this before, but they put everyone up, and they have like a bar that they have to have their hands stretched up to, and I did notice that they were adjusting how tall it was depending on your reach. So it wasn't like if you were extremely short, like you had a big disadvantage because you're stretched out more or anything. And they did seem to compensate for that. But basically, they're hanging over the ocean. The ocean's 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very cold.
It's really cold.
Yeah. Even like 80 degrees in a pool is cold, even in summer. And so the one thing that was interesting about this trivia, actually there were two things. One is typically it's like a 2-strike thing, like you're 2 strikes and then you're out. This one, it's like you just keep getting tipped further and further over, but as long as you can hold on, like you're still in the game.
It's a neat little twist, right? Like I'm always up for like kind of changing what this looks like, changing up the formula a little bit. And what was also interesting was that it was all true and false questions.
Yeah, that was my other note.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we've ever had that before. Because you have the infamous, answers like, what language do they speak in Australia? And Johnny Bananas says, Dutch. And it's interesting that it is all true or false. It definitely makes it easier to last longer because you got a 50-50 shot at staying up there. In particular, some of the questions were hard, some were easy. That's kind of how trivia goes. But
I think the big one was the what was the question? Do wolves eat meat? And
that was the easiest question.
And Casey said, no, they're
well, I think the question,
there's carnivores and herbivores.
And there's omnivores, which is both.
Omnivores, yeah.
And I think that the question was, are wolves vegetarians or something along those lines?
That was it. Yep.
And she said yes. And I was like, no. I was like, wolves eat other animals.
Yeah.
And by the way, wolves in real life are huge. Like, if you see them next to, like, coyotes and stuff, like, wolves are freaking big. And I don't know what world she's living in that she would think that. Maybe you're just stressed out when you're up there. But some of the questions were hard, but, like, the one that I saw everyone talking about on Twitter was, I think it was the first question where it was 14 is the square root of 196. And again, you got a 50-50 shot, but like in my head, I was like, well, if you multiply 14 by 14, you're going to have a 6 at the end. It's like, so probably, like, it's close. And I don't know, Hannah didn't like that one. The one thing I didn't like is that they cut out a lot of the questions. They just showed the answers. They're like, oh, you got it wrong. Oh, you got it right. But I guess that's just a timing thing, even though we have an hour and a half.
You said Hannah didn't like that question. Did she just
because it's
not
math.
like the question? Because it's math, gotcha.
She didn't like any of the math questions, like any of the ones that were like how many degrees are in a triangle and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure I got all those right. There were a couple that I got wrong. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head, but there were a few that I thought would be one way and then they just weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, when it's true or false, it's not like you're just having to pull something out of thin air. Like, you literally just have as good of a shot of getting it right as you do wrong, and then you can sabotage. The one thing I didn't understand was necessarily the reason certain people were going after others, like CT and Kyle going after each other for some reason, and then like Darrell and CT going. I don't know. The one interesting thing, Anissa was the first person to fall. And also she fell on her own. It wasn't like she was in the middle of a move. It's a lot of core strength.
She's been the first out in a few dailies.
Yeah. Again, the physical, like, endurance challenges are not her strong point at this point in her career. And so she falls. I didn't write down why everyone else happened, but I did write that Kyle, when he like started falling and he's just like barely hanging on, his scream and the octave it was at reminded me of Marv in Home Alone when he was getting electrocuted. Like, it was that exact type of scream. And Kyle's always good TV. We love Kyle. But Darrell wins the first one, and Devin actually got second place, which good for Devin because he was bent over like, at a pretty good angle for a long time. But Darrell wins. And what was it he said a few episodes ago? He's got height shock?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, so this actually gave me hope for fantasy purposes.
Yeah.
Because I thought, okay, if Darrell's getting a daily win, maybe I'm due. And turns out I was due for a good week. Right?
Well, see, I haven't even looked ahead to that. I know that I'm going to lose another player.
Yeah.
Darrell wins his round, and then the next round starts, and then listen, I'm going to keep saying it. It's not popular. I don't know why Big T's here.
It's not popular, but it's a right take.
I think we said it on our Patreon podcast. If there was an MTV show that was like, who could be your best friend, like Big T would probably win that.
Yeah.
But like, she was, one, terrified to go up there, which we've seen that before. Two, was just like gone right away, and like doesn't contribute anything to a competition side of this show. And I have to speculate. Did you watch the like mid-season trailer thing at the end? So her and CT have some sort of a fight, and she's like, "You lied to me," and he's like, "It's not lies. I guess broke a promise." Do you think that means that he got a skull or something and changed partners?
Something's happening there. Whether it's him getting his skull or it being a girl's elimination and him wanting her.
Voting her in.
Yeah. Could be.
I don't know.
Could be a sign of bad things to come for Big CT. But I mean, can you blame him if that's the case?
No.
She brings nothing.
No one that's left would be like, oh man, if Big T was the rogue agent for whatever reason, can't wait to team up with her. Like, she's not going to bring anything to a competition. And I get not everyone has to win everything, but to me, you got to at least have a chance to win.
Well, so like Devin talked Big T up big time when we interviewed him, and I still haven't seen it, so I don't know if something's going to happen at some point.
I think everyone just really likes her.
I think that's got to be it, right? Like, I mean, we know that, but that has to have been the context when he was talking about her.
Well, she did win a daily, but again, we talked about it when it happened. That's the one where CT's just holding her over the side of the cliff.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of strategy on her part there. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it would be amazing if she like does and goes into elimination or whatever, but like, looking at all these girls that are left, other than Amber M, like, Big T's not a favorite in any of those. I mean, she's bigger than Amber M probably, but I feel like Amber M's meaner, and so she would maybe have a little bit of that competitive edge. So, anyway, Big T's gone. I don't know if you noticed Nam at one point when he yells out, he kind of goes through puberty in the middle of his answer. He's like, "False!"
Hey, you're operating in the spirit of Han again, because that's something she totally would have noticed.
Well, I mean, that one stuck out to me. Then Nam, it was like Nam, Fessy, and Cam left in the second round. And I did notice, I was like, oh, Cam's using like the sides, like she's bracing with that. It's like, you know, that's going to make it easier than just holding straight up. And then, you know, TJ started yelling at her about it. But Nam cuts a deal with Fessy and basically goes against Cam because Fessy's like, hey, I got you, bro. Don't worry about it. And so he goes and puts the punishment on Cam. And then Fessy immediately falls. And I was like, well, I guess he made the right choice because now Cam's in a worse spot. But, you know, I thought Nam was going to get a win here. And then Cam just kept cheating and grabbing the sides after TJ warned her like 2 times.
Yeah.
And so she just DQ'd. So Nam won the round. Did you understand when TJ was, he said, we're going to go with who answered the most questions and stood up there the longest? And so Hannah and I just kind of briefly were like, does that mean just answered the most questions or like got the most correct?
Would have to be the most correct, right?
That's what I would assume, but he didn't say. He just like whoever answered the most questions. And so Darrell won somehow in that. And basically that means Darrell and Amber B win. And TJ calls him up, and he's like, hey, guys, go take a sneak peek in these briefcases over here. And so I thought it was going to be something game-related, and it was going to be like Intel or something. And then they just had to be like, woohoo, and pull up a sign.
They were not excited.
Well, I wouldn't know. Like, think if you're in that situation, and you're like, hey, we want you to go look in this cool briefcase, and then there's just a big, like, maroon card that's like, Whopper VIP. You don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And so that all right. And TJ is like, congratulations, you guys are Whopper VIPs. That means you get Whopper sandwiches for life.
That's kind of a big deal, right? Like you can just pull up to Burger King anytime. And do they give you like a card or something? You just show it to them like, hey, man, I get my Whopper today.
Yeah, so from what I've seen before with like influencers or like YouTubers or stuff, every so often, like fast food places will do this, and the ones that I've seen, I think Chipotle does it every so often. They'll give like a gold card. Actually, Alana Pierce, who used to be on Funhouse, Pizza Hut just gave her something like that, and it's basically like a special credit card looking thing that you just show, and it's like basically how you get it for free, and. I'm sure there's a limit to it. It's like you can do like 1 a day or like 3 a week or something like that. It's not going to be you can get as many as you want every time you roll in there.
You can just drive through 10 times in a day and get 10 Whoppers.
Or just say like, hey, I want 40 Whoppers right now. Like it's not going to work like that. But I mean, it's kind of cool. Plus they got $5,000. So you know, they're Whopper VIPs. And right after that, Darrell basically says he's going to let Amber B take the lead on this because they think that it's going to be a girls' elimination because the last one was Michi and Josh. So Amber M is the rogue agent, so it would make sense that it's a female elimination, so whoever loses, their partner would be paired up and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So it's interesting that he's going to let her take the lead, but before we get into anything else, let's take a quick break. We are back, and I don't know about you, but the next thing I got is just the Bubble Club, trademarked Bubble Club. If you don't call it anything else, that's what it is. And not a lot to say in this one other than Nani at one point says only Lolo and Casey can take Teresa out. Nani's made it very clear that she does not trust herself in this, which great self-awareness. I think Teresa would beat her in what we saw in the elimination.
I think so.
You might could say Aneesa would win out against Teresa in this type of elimination just because Anissa's got more, like, mass to her.
But endurance.
That's the thing. It'd be closer because endurance. But, Lolo and Casey, I do think those are the obviously the best athletes left that are in there. I think Cam would beat her, but Cam's not going in. But it's interesting. I think I read in our Slack group, which is part of our Patreon, that Teresa had like a torn labrum or something while she was doing that elimination. I don't know if it happened during it or if it came beforehand or what, but we'll get to that in a minute. But there's just in the Bubble Club, not a lot happened other than Kyle was kind of flirting with what's her name? Gabby? Was it Gabby?
Was he flirting with Gabby?
I don't remember because I know Fessy hooks up with Gabby at some point. Like that's coming down the road. Was it not? What am I thinking of? It wasn't Amber M.
He was having a talk with Amber B, but I don't remember it ever being flirtatious.
He was flirting with someone in there, and I'm pretty sure it was Gabby. But they're the thing with Amber M is still she's really upset with Amber B, and obviously that's all convoluted, and I think both sides are making it to be much more of a situation than it is, in all honesty. And if you in the grand scheme of things, Amber B, Amber M, and Gabby are not even middle of the road players at this point. Like they're bottom of the barrel. Amber B has the best advantage just because of who her partner is.
They are a part of one of the worst rookie classes of all time.
Yeah, we talked about that I think last week, but we talked also about it on the Patreon podcast. The longer this season has gone on, the worse this rookie class has looked.
Yeah.
It's been really bad. So, it sucks that like Natalie and some of those people went out for other reasons because obviously she was an outlier. Lolo seems to be, but Lolo hasn't shown anything at this point. So at the deliberation the next day, basically no one talks. No one wants to volunteer. No one's saying anything. And Leroy is just like, you guys are all dumb. Like, you have to have a skull to go forward in this, like, to even compete in the final. Like, why are you guys not trying to get yourselves nominated in? And I was like, well, I'm glad he's saying it because that's what we've been kind of talking about this whole time.
Yeah, and again, like, it's, again, I think speaks to, like, how weird this rookie class is because the people who do have skulls are vets, right?
Is there any? Well, Natalie had one to begin with. Let's see. I'm trying to look through the list right here. See if any of these rookies have skulls.
Amber M doesn't. So. Amber B doesn't.
Nom doesn't.
Well, just
Gabby.
Doesn't. Gabby. Just the girls because this was a girls' elimination.
Oh, okay, yeah. Gabby doesn't. If you want to count Big T with the rookies, she doesn't. Lolo doesn't. Yeah, I mean, there's none of them do. I don't think any rookie has one right now.
And none of them are speaking up to go get it either.
No, and like that's if this was the challenge like 4 or 5 years ago, you could do that. You could you just needed to stick around. Like avoid eliminations as much as possible. You know, just kind of float your way in. Like having a partner like Darrell would have been really helpful for something like that. But like this isn't the same. Like we've seen it for the last 4 or 5 seasons now. Like they're making it a priority to where we need big names to go in and go into elimination. And it's even better if 2 big names go in against each other and someone goes home because that's good TV. You know, instead of just hoping they all make it to the finals. And I don't know. It is very confusing. I guess your rookies just aren't thinking that way. But there's vets here who are kind of the same. Corey, you got Corey and then Darrell now. Well, although Darrell didn't have a real chance to go in because it was a girls' elimination. But I don't know. Like you have guys who are just kind of hanging out as well, and so
but you at least had Corey like at the top of this episode talking about coming for a gold skull. Right.
Yes, yeah. Well, they once won.
Yeah,
but won in it, and then going in against it is two different things. I will say this with a little bit of a grain of salt. I do get why people are a little annoyed with Cam this season, with her confessionals. If you didn't watch any of your other seasons it's definitely ramped up this year. And you know what? She's got a great track record. Like she's a good competitor, but there's definitely a sense of like entitlement when it comes to her confessionals. I don't know.
Look, she's good, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't have as much a problem with it because like she's earned the right to talk.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, she's arguably the best female in the game right now, right?
Elimination-wise, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I can get why people would be a little
it's off-putting,
turned off by it.
Yeah,
yeah, because it's definitely ramped up more this season. And I don't know if that's because like she knows this is Leroy's last one, so she's trying to make these big moves or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. So Darrell. After everyone votes, they get the intel on, who's going in, who's not. He wants Amber B to go in, and he said it in the confessional, I don't know how many times, like, this is your shot, like, go get it, at least try, because, what's the point of sticking around if you're not even going to get a skull? Like, I think if it was a guy's elimination, I think he probably would have gone in.
Yeah, I do too.
Because he knows, like, I've got to go in to win, to even have a chance to win.
Yeah.
And so, Teresa and Corey are compromised, and it honestly looked like the whole house voted against him. I didn't count it, but it was a lot of people, and so we didn't have the weird misdirect like we did last week, where it was like, hey, you don't get to see who was compromised. So everyone goes down to the crater. And basically, they're all down there, and you can see a rope and some like posts, but it didn't look the same as whatever the elimination was called that Devin and Wes did.
Yeah,
it's similar, but it's not the same. But we get a confessional from Corey, and he basically says that. He's like, I want Teresa to lose because I don't want to be tied to someone that a lot of people are like, out to get.
But then, like, the odds go up that he ends up with Amber M.
Which he did. Yeah, so, I would much rather be with Teresa and have people gunning for me than Amber M.
Yeah.
Because she's, one, not made, like, an easy ride for herself, but two, like, she's not anywhere near the competitor Teresa is. And so... they're compromised, so they come down. TJ asks, if the compromised agents want to go in, and Amber B just passes it. And again, Darrell voices his frustration in the confessionals. And we find out it's called Operation Snapping Point. I don't get how that ties into what we saw at all, but. TJ did the whole thing about...
Ain't nothing snapping, right?
No. And it didn't even... Like, I don't know. And it wasn't like you were pulling something to the point of, like, failure where it would snap and, like, break. So I don't know what this... It was basically like you're trying to put rings. I don't know.
Just use, like, everything involved, like tugging ring pole.
That's a...
Right?
Sure.
Tugging rings. I don't know.
That would make about as much sense. Operation Tugging Rings.
Yeah, Operation Tongue in Rings.
Yeah. TJ did the weird misdirect where he like tries to make the guys freak out that they were going in because he's like, Leroy, you already got your skull. He's like, Corey, you don't yet. And again, like, it wasn't going to be a guy's elimination. So they go in. It's basically, it's kind of similar to that 3-way elimination that Nelson, Shane, and Corey were in, right? Where you're just like trying to get to. I think they were just trying to get to one side, and one person got eliminated. But this was, you're basically tethered together. So we've seen stuff like this before, again, going back to not Darrell, but Wes and Devin. And there's just like a loop in the middle that like keeps the rope centered. And then you have 3 rings, and you got to get the rings over the pole, but like there's not enough slack there. Like you have to move your opponent to get to the places. Again, on paper, Teresa and Casey are a really good matchup, just size-wise. They're basically look like they're the same height, very similar build, but like I said earlier, Casey's been training for shows like this and doing shows like this for the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
like being in that type of shape is different than like Teresa, being at home, working out, whatever. Like working out to stay in shape and then working out to prepare for a show like this are 2 different things. And so even though Teresa's like been in shape and, all that, like it's not the same level of endurance and physicality and all that, the level Casey's been at. And so Casey had a good strategy from the start. She basically wanted to go to the furthest away one first. And then once she got that, she knew that then Teresa by default couldn't get to her furthest away one. But it looked like, Teresa just stalled out. That's all it came down to.
She didn't even get 1 ring on, did she?
Didn't even. I didn't see like a side by side to see how close she was, but to me, it didn't even look like she was within like arm's reach of it. Which sucks because I do think she's a better competitor than that. I think Teresa probably would have beat Nani. She probably would have beat Amber B. Like, pretty good odds. She would have beat Amber M for sure. She would have beat Big T for sure. She would not have beat Cam.
Lolo?
I don't know. Like, I think Lolo would probably be able to do it. But also, Lolo gets weird about physical stuff. And, like, she'd probably complain about the harnesses and all that. I don't know. Lolo probably would be the closest. And then Anissa, like we said, she's bigger, but doesn't have the endurance that probably Teresa has. So I don't know. I think Teresa would have beat, a handful of people, which kind of goes back to the Jeyyy thing. Jeyyy would have beat everyone but Leroy. And then every single guy in the house would have beat Michi and Josh.
Yeah.
So it's a dominant win by Casey. 3-0. And at this point, I made a note, and I said it in our Slack group too, like, I don't think we'll see Teresa again. Like, I don't think she's coming back.
I don't think so. It is what it is. She's happily married. She's settled down. She's got kids.
She's pregnant again. Yeah, it didn't happen during, like, it wasn't before filming. Like, as soon as she got back, like, they got pregnant again. And so, again, like, just even that, like, that's another 9 months of just, building the baby inside you and then, taking care of it. So it would probably be at least another 2 years before she would even probably consider to come back. And at that point, it's like, well, what did I prove last time, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I think this is, it was nice to see her again, but I don't think Teresa's back. That's just my feeling on it. Just if she didn't get pregnant again immediately after she came back, maybe. Because again, she's a better competitor than any of those rookie girls so far, except Natalie.
Oh, for sure.
And so, I wouldn't mind having her back, but I don't think she's here. So, after that, Casey has to decide if she's going to stick with Leroy or change. I think she made the right call. Like, Leroy has proven himself. He also, staying with him doesn't cause any, like, rifts in any alliances that you've got. Like, if she teams up with Fessy again, like, that's just a big target on both of them. And I don't know. I think the only other options would have been, like, Darrell which would have pissed off her big brother alliance, and so I don't think that's
well. And you've still got protection from the girl who seems to be running the game in Cam.
Yeah, Again, like Cam has made it very clear this season that if you don't do what she wants, she's gonna be very vocal about it. And so she sticks with Leroy, and Corey is now with Amber M, which sucks. But it's funny if you think about it. It's all because Nelson teamed up with her for the first time that he's stuck with her.
Yeah.
And so that sucks for him. And I can guarantee you if he gets a skull, he is not sticking with her.
No, for sure. And what better way to wrap up this episode than having Nani talk about how stressed out she is. So,
did she? I don't even remember it.
Yeah. That was how the episode wrapped.
That's good.
She said she feels like everybody's lying and she's stressed out. It's just like, what's new?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't feel like there's been a ton of deception in the house if I'm like compared to a lot of other seasons.
But then you have to create it in your own mind then, right?
Yeah. That's always been a thing
works,
is in her head. In her head, she's always like the victim of everything, and everyone's lying to her at all times. We'll see what happens. It is interesting that it definitely seemed like we got a mid-season trailer. I thought I had heard that this season was 16 episodes, which would make sense that we'd have a mid-season trailer after last week. But maybe it's more now. It's 18, or maybe it's not true mid-season, like exactly the midway point, and they just felt like they needed to give some more. If you thought like your numbers, I don't know what the ratings have been. If you thought that they were dwindling a little bit, you might be like, hey, let's put this in here now to get some interest going forward. Because they're like, oh man, because we saw in the trailer like apparently CT and Fessy get into it at some point, and there were some other confrontations and hard hitting things that are going to happen. It seems, but if this is a midway point, this is going to be a long season, not Final Reckoning long, because I think that was 22 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think we're looking at 16 to 18 episodes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do the superlatives and then Hannah's notes, or do you want to do Hannah's notes first?
Let's go Hannah's notes first. Let's just keep with the notes here.
All right. Well, let's actually let's tease that, and we'll be back in just a second. All right, we're back, and I'm going to read from Hannah's notes. And if you've not been here for a BOYZ Night, I read them exactly as they are written. We do these every so often. Let me take a drink first because I got a lot of reading to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to make sure that throat is good and moistened up.
Got to have a moist throat. So I read exactly as I can. A lot of times emojis are involved, which I just scanned. No emojis. That may be a first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, maybe this migraine started hitting in last night.
It might have. Again, we had a weird ice storm last night. Maybe everything was just kind of thrown off. But I'm gonna read it verbatim as much as I can and try to emphasize what I think she wanted me to emphasize. So, by the way, she didn't know she wasn't going to be recording. We'd all planned to record, so this wasn't one that she knew she was going to be gone ahead of time. So, here we go. Ep 9. Leroy, Cam, and Anissa congratulate Josh. Cam warns him he's about to see a new side of people now. Devin basically tells Little Amber that Big Amber voted for her.
Which one's little and big?
Well, Amber B would be the big. I mean, she's taller for sure.
Gotcha.
Amber M is tiny. So Devin, Little Amber goes to confront Big Amber, tells her she's going to vote for her now. Little Amber goes to Gabby with the info. Corey and Teresa bond over their kids. Teresa talks about postpartum depression. Gabby goes to Big Amber. Amber thinks Gabby is playing Devin's anti-BB game. Big Brother.
Okay.
Gabby says Amber always plays victim. Daily. Burger King sponsored trivia today. $5,000 each to winners. Heat 1. Darrell is already freaking out. These questions are way harder than I expected. Anissa first to fall. Nani falls before... Okay. Anissa first to fall. Then the next note is, Nany falls before Kyle. Was that something we were looking for?
Yeah, I don't get
Was Kyle supposed to fall before Nany?
Yeah, I don't get the significance there.
I don't know, but she put an exclamation point after that one.
Oh man,
Devin and Darrell, last two standing. Darrell, Heat 1 winner. Heat 2, Big T freaking out more than Darrell. Nom screaming false was hilarious.
Yep, there's that note on Nom. Yep.
Cam keeps moving her hands on the side of the bars. TJ disqualifies her after 2 warnings. Nom wins. Darrell beats out Nom for holding on longer. Also gets him and Amber free Whoppers for life. Dome, which, by the way, Hannah, it's Bubble Club.
Yeah.
It's Bubble Club. Kyle strategizes with Gabby and Little Amber. So it was Gabby that I was thinking about. Nany tells Big Amber to put in Teresa instead of Gabby. Throw Casey or Lolo to take her out. Big Amber goes to talk with Gabby to smooth things over. Casey tells Big Amber she feels like it's her time to go get her gold skull. Which I assume that means Casey's time to get it, but I don't know. Deliberation. Leroy calls everyone a fool for not fighting to go into elimination. Darrell thinks Big Amber not wanting to go in makes no sense, and he actually said no GD sense a lot. He wanted to emphasize that part. Elimination. Corey doesn't want Teresa to win the elim, so she's not his partner anymore. Darrell is very frustrated with Amber for passing up her opportunity at a gold skull. TJ really scared Corey and Leroy there for a minute. Devin loves a good revenge story. Wants Teresa to come back. Casey gets all 3 rings before Teresa could even get 1. Sticks with Leroy. Leroy's super happy about it. Corey now partners with Amber M. Does that mean Amber is about to go home? LOL. Mid-season trailer? And then that's it.
I gotta say, very, very straightforward notes for Han.
Completely different than basically any other time I've ever read her notes.
I think the ice storm had her stressed out last night. Something was off about Han last night.
Maybe that's what it was.
Straightforward notes like that.
Oh, you know what it was? She took Tylenol PM before we started watching.
That'll do it.
And that's you kind of get in a little bit of like a head fog when that happens.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't have any of the like crazy reactions or the emojis or any of that type of stuff.
Subcategories.
Yeah. And honestly, not nearly as many notes as what it normally is. So, let's get into the superlatives for this episode. And I'll do Hannah's first. I don't have her reasoning why she picked these, but for who smashed some heads, she said Casey. I'm going to assume because Casey got her gold skull and won 3-0. Mm-hmm. That's a good reason for me. What are yours?
Zach, I think I'm gonna give it to Corey and Teresa for the parenting 101 session.
Okay, where they were just riding stationary bikes.
Yeah.
Okay, they smashed some heads with that one. For me, I'll give it to Darrell for getting over his height shock and winning the daily, and that was his first daily win, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so I'll give it to Darrell just because he hasn't done a lot this season. And then Hannah said, for who got their head smashed, she said Cam herself by cheating even after 2 warnings from TJ.
Yeah.
So what was yours?
I guess I got to give it to Nam, right? Because could have won, did win his heat,
could have won Whoppers for life,
but as a result of he's missing out on $5,000 and Whoppers for life.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna go with Corey because he's now partnered with Amber M.
That's a good
and
one.
He wanted Teresa to go home.
Yeah.
I think that's very short-sighted of him to, and obviously he didn't control what happened, but now he's stuck with tied for the weakest girl there. Like if you had Big T and Amber M in a headbanger like Hall Brawl or something,
yeah,
I don't know who's winning that.
It would be interesting.
Yeah. So for Song of the Week, she picked Glory Box by Portishead.
Okay.
Not her typical picks, I guess. What was yours?
The band is called Shreezers.
What now?
Shreezers?
Shreezers.
Shreezers. Song is called Sad.
How do you spell that?
Shrezzers.
Okay.
There were. What's that?
I was gonna say there was a local band that we played shows, or I at least played shows with back when we were in high school, named Shri, with SRI.
I remember them.
And that guy, the lead singer, well, he was a singer. They were an instrumental band, and just he set himself on fire on Facebook Live because he was upset about one of his girlfriends and killed himself about a year ago.
Well, I hope he's doing. Wait, you said he killed himself?
No, he's dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He got mad at his ex-girlfriend and set himself on fire on Facebook Live to kill himself.
Rest in peace.
Shri. Yeah, I've got their CDs still.
Yeah.
He was always kind of out there. Definitely had some problems. But he's not part of Shreezers, I'm assuming. So I went with a song called Vita, and it's actually by two artists. It's by an instrumental band called Sauce, SAWCE, and then it's like featuring a guy named Cubby, KUBBI, who does the song that we play for our Patreon podcast.
Yeah.
So this is basically if you took like Animal Crossing music and made it like really fun to listen to, which I know that actually Animal Crossing has like some really good songs, but it's kind of like chiptunes mixed with instrumental stuff. So that's where I'm going with that. It's Vita, SAWCE, and KUBBI. So that's my song. Let's just get into the fantasy, and we'll just take a break and when I have to calculate everything up. So I'm ready to roll whenever you are.
I feel like this is going to be a good week for me.
But I know Teresa's on my team. I know I'm going to lose points. So.
All right, so let's just take it from the top. Corey's a dog, and he's coming after you. 5 points.
Okay.
Josh is way too excited about that elimination win. -5.
Okay.
Let's see. Nani's afraid of Teresa. -5.
Rightfully so, though.
I think so. But Amber M and Amber B mini fight. 5 points to each.
Okay. Wasn't expecting that.
Amber Backstabber. Wrestling stage name. 10 points to Amber B.
Yeah, and didn't she call her, like, the B word? And then she's like, I know what the B stands for. And then she's like, backstabber.
Yeah, I thought she was totally going, a different direction there. Parenting 101 with Corey and Teresa. 5 points.
I'm going to need those because Teresa's going to lose me a bunch.
Big T is excited about Burger King. 5 points. But she's not excited about this game. -5.
Thanks.
Josh at one point yelled, "Hold on, Nons." Why he couldn't just say Nani and replace the Y with an S, I don't like. It's a -5. Listen, it's
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's a common thing for me. So I hate in basketball. It's particularly in basketball, right? Mm-hmm. It's the initials for everybody. LBJ, BI, Brandon Ingram, AD, Anthony Davis, KD, Kevin. Like, why? Can we change this up a little bit?
But that's like at least their initials. Like he just gave her like a baby name.
No, I get it, but like, I guess like, are you with me on that? Can we stop with just the initials on basketball players?
What about, how do you feel about like CP3 and PG-13?
See, that's what I'm saying. It's still initials. Like you're just. Yeah. Can we get a little more original?
I do it in tweets from our Grizzlies podcast just because it's like I don't want to type out Jonas Valanciunas all the time.
No, but that's like, I don't even like, we love, our guys Pete Pranica and Brevin Knight who, do the Grizzlies broadcast, when they refer to Brandon Clark as BC or Valanciunas as JV, like, let's stop this. Either call them by their name or come up with a decent nickname.
I don't really have a problem, especially on the level you do.
The same thing applies here.
I mean, if they called it, like, so what Josh did was, instead of Nani, he went Nines. That's like if they were talking about Jonas Valanciunas to be like Jonesies, like it's just unnecessary. Also, Nons and Nani aren't they the same amount of syllables?
Yes, same amount of letters. You literally just replace the Y with an S.
Right. Yeah.
Anissa falls first, -10.
That's on your team.
The screaming hanging Kyle, 5 points.
For the Marv impression.
Yeah, Marv impression. -10 to Casey for thinking that wolves are vegetarians.
Agreed.
But Darrell knows wolves. 5 points. Also 10 points to Darrell because he won his heat.
He did, yeah.
We're going to call Big T Big Terrified for this one, -5.
Okay.
Also Crying T, -5.
Okay.
Another -10 to Big T. She fell first.
Okay, all right, fine.
There was some sort of question about MI6. Now that's a Mission Impossible reference, right?
Yeah, well, MI6 is from Mission Impossible, and there's a British version of like the CIA called MI5, right? Yeah, that's the Secret Service in the UK.
But is MI6 a Mission Impossible reference?
So MI6 is the Secret Intelligence Service in the UK. So yeah, MI5 and MI6 are both from the UK.
So they're real.
Yeah, they're real.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was necessarily.
I was ready to give. Amber B -5 for not being familiar with Mission Impossible. But we'll waive that.
I would agree with you just on. Basically, she should, because all those movies are really fun.
Yeah.
But no, they are real things. So that's why, like, if someone from the UK got that question, they would have got it right.
Yeah. So just we'll waive that.
Okay.
Teresa with the ugly fall, -5.
Oh yeah, she swung.
Yeah. -5 to Cam for DQing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But 10 points to Nam for winning his heat.
All right.
According to Nam, he needs the Burger King and the $5,000, 5 points.
Did he say I need Burger King?
He actually just said he needs the $5,000, but I bet
okay.
you he'd take the Burger King.
Yeah.
25 to Darrell and Amber B for the win.
All right.
An extra $5,000 from Burger King, 5 points.
All right.
And all right, another 5 points for getting Whoppers for life.
And having to fake like you knew what that meant when you saw the card.
Yeah. Darrell also said he's going to be a good dad and get his kid Whopper sandwiches, 5 points.
By the way, to me, it's always weird when people say Whopper sandwiches.
Yeah,
like,
I get
weird. That. Yeah, it is.
It's just a Whopper.
That's what it is. It's or like Whopper burgers.
Yeah.
But I want a Whopper sandwich.
Yeah.
Like
let's
what
see.
Your grandma would say.
Amber B seems to be getting weird vibes from everyone. Can't be a good thing, so -5.
Okay.
But then also says that she doesn't take things personal. I think that's a lie. -5 to Amber B.
So you're giving negative points for what you think.
Yeah, you're probably right. We'll waive that. This is not subjective.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. You know what? I want to give 5 points to Nam and Teresa because they think Amber B is weird, and I agree.
Right.
At the top of the deliberation, Nani actually kind of starting stuff with Teresa for no apparent reason. -5 to Nani for the unnecessary altercation. Leroy doesn't like everybody's silence. 5 points.
I agree.
Lolo also doesn't want to talk, though. 5 points to Lolo.
Where's Leroy? Oh, okay. I couldn't find Leroy for a second. So Lolo doesn't want to talk, so she gets negative?
She gets positive. She just admitted.
Because she doesn't want to talk?
Yeah. She just, she opened up. We award transparency here.
Okay.
Amber B doesn't want to get her skull. I want to give her -10 for that.
As long as you're not going to, like, continually give her for the same thing. Because, like, Darrell brings it up a couple times.
Yeah, no, this is the one time she gets negative points for that. Darrell is going to get 5 points because he thinks that she's dumb for that.
I agree.
-10 to Teresa and Corey. They're compromised. According to Casey, she was preparing herself in the club. 5 points.
I kind of forgot about that.
Cam doesn't like TJ's games. -5 because
To Cam?
yeah. Casey wins the elimination. 50 points to Casey.
Yeah.
-25 to Teresa because she lost the elimination. Amber B made the statement that this has been an amazing move for her. I disagree. -5.
That's kind of opinionated, too.
Teresa gave an emotional speech about encouraging her kids. 5 points because we do it for the kids here.
Yeah.
Another 5 points to Teresa because TJ thinks that Teresa's a beast. Corey keeps getting the worst partners, -5. But you know what? A +5 for, I think, a new nickname you could dawn upon Corey the Curse. Right?
Yeah, we didn't even bring it up that Anissa's like, which I did think about, is like that one season he was sleeping with everyone, and this season he's just partners with everyone. But she's like, you used to have to worry about getting pregnant, but now you just have to get worried about getting sent home.
Yeah. So, 5 points because he's Corey the Curse now.
I got it.
And then -5 to Nani because she's stressed out. So
that's going to stress her out even more.
yeah. So those are your fantasy points for the week, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Eat fresh.
Chick-fil-A, eat fresh.
Eat fresh.
Yeah, I had to move over to grab my Post-it notes because I have to add all this up.
Yeah.
What?
Well, while Zach is doing math over there, we are going to take a quick break. And we're back. I don't think Zach was ready. Oh, you're not ready?
I got to add everything up.
Okay, never mind. Now we're taking the break. And for real this time, we are back.
You let me add everything up.
I actually had Zach pegged as like a was it Kyle XY, where he could read a book, he could put his hand on a book. No,
I thought you were gonna say like Rain Man.
what was the TV show? It was on Nickelodeon or Disney where the guy could put his hand on a book and read it in like 2 seconds. Oh man, somebody's gonna know. Somebody's gonna hear this.
Yeah,
and
I
know.
don't. Like that's vaguely familiar, but like
it wasn't
like
Kyle XY. I was wrong on that.
It wasn't like
I'm
the
gonna have to
one
figure out
about
what that is.
About like the kid was an alien or anything, was it?
Yeah, he was an alien. He definitely was, but I can't remember the name of the show.
Oh, hold on. That's gonna drive me crazy because I kind of know what you're talking about.
You remember he'd put his hand on a book and that's how he read. He'd read it in like 2 seconds.
Let me look it up. The journey, was it the journey of Alan Strange?
I was about to say Alan Strange. Yep.
Was that it? Because he was an alien.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's a throwback right there.
What a good reference.
I thought you were the equivalent of Alan Strange.
Yeah. If you would have just said that, no one would have got that reference.
Well, now they do.
All right, so very, very interesting week, all things considered. You definitely are gaining on us, Jake.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's recap where we're at.
All
so
right.
after last week, which you were in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
We oh crap, I just realized I put all that scoring on my format and not the other way around. It's fine. So as of last week, Hannah was at 590, I was at 450, and you were at 180. Because Hannah had 180 points last week, I had 70, and you had -5. By the way, I had scored 70 3 weeks in a row and 4 out of the last 8 weeks.
70 exactly?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this week is completely different. 2 teams in the negative this week.
Oh, boy. And it's not me.
It's not you.
Yes.
That's the spoiler. So, the 2 teams in the negative are Hannah and I, which is pretty miraculous considering that basically I had 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 players that could get me points, and now one of those has gone home. And Hannah still has her full team, and we tied. So we both have -5 for the week. So she goes down to 585. I go down to 445. And Jake, you ended up with a positive 100.
Hey.
So,
but I'm still not close to you guys.
No, you're at 280.
Yeah.
The next closest is 445.
Yeah.
But you know what? If we have a couple more... Here's the thing. Hannah is winning solely because she has had no people go home.
So you could make the argument her team's actually not that good.
Exactly.
From just a points production ratio, right?
Yes, because I have 5 people that could get me points this week, and we tied point-wise, me and her. And she has 10 to choose from, and they just don't do anything. And CT didn't give me any points this week, so I really got all that from 4. The points per player or whatever is not great, but she that's what's keeping her alive, man. She's just got so many people to choose from, and it when you got 10 people that can score for you every week, it's certainly a strategy. It's not something she meant to do or that we meant to do or anything like that. It's just it's kind of what happened. Well, you have. Right now, after this week, you have 1, 2, 3. You have 4 players left.
Great.
I have 4 players left.
Great.
And she has all 10.
So for me, I have Darrell, Casey, Lolo, and who's the other one?
Anissa.
And
I have CT, Leroy, Amber B, and Big T.
Man.
So, CT and Leroy better come through in this final, and you better hope Darrell and Lolo do. And then Hannah's got Fessy, Kyle, Corey, Cam, Nam, Devin, Nani, Gabby, Amber M, and Josh.
Great.
I feel like unless something miraculous happens...
some of her people have to start going home next week, right?
So we're going to need to figure something out where... there's going to have to be some sort of a penalty for people who never get a gold skull and get purged.
Yeah.
Because that could cause some potential, big time losses.
Yeah, I'm with that.
And this is not to specifically get Hannah out. It's just your team can't be rewarded for them to just coast through and then get cut. Because when people get sent home on eliminations, they have to go they lose 25 points for that elimination.
Yeah.
So we'll need to figure that out when it comes to it. But there's got to be some sort of a purge, right?
I think so.
Because at some point he's just going to be like, all right, it's time for the final. If you don't have a skull, bye. So we'll see. As I said at the top of the show, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/smashingheadspodcast. Again, we dropped a Patreon exclusive. It's our off-topic podcast is just called Redemption House, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes or something like that, and a lot of questions from our patrons this time, and so we answered all of those and then talked through some other things. But check that out. It does directly support the show. If you want the show ad-free, things like that, Patreon is the way to do it. And other than that, follow us on social media, at Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And also, if you do enjoy the show, please rate and review on iTunes, 5-star reviews. Those really do help. Every so often you'll get somebody that comes through and be like, I hate Zach or I hate Jake, 1 star. So to offset that, it'd be really great if you guys would get 5 stars if you do enjoy it, because we try to do an enjoyable show every week. But other than that, hopefully we'll have an announcement as far as an interview soon, and we will be back with you guys next week.
Have a good night, everyone.